come on in. Right now, we come on in. Everybody, come on in. Welcome to the Fly Nubian Queen Roundtable. Right now, we are here with the Queen, Jade Arendelle, known as Lioness Crown, as well as the Queen, Tina Berry. Straight no chaser with the Queen. I love that. I imagine with a name like that, you give it to the people raw, Tina. But I'm going to let you ladies introduce yourselves so everybody could get familiar with you, know where to follow you, because we have got to talk about last night's presidential debate. So go ahead, Jade, introduce yourself to your people. I think you're on mute right now, Jade.
Oh, okay. I said, peace and Black Power family. I said, thank you, Queen, Madam President, and also the Queen Tina Berry. Welcome everyone into this Queen's Roundtable. Jade Arendelle, aka Lioness Crown, your revolutionary, unapologetically Black African host at FlyNubianQueen.com, the network for melanated people like you. That's who I am. Also have a program that runs on FlyNubianQueenTV.com weekdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, which is called The Lioness Den. And so if you have the heart of a lioness or a lion and you're Black first, you're welcome into the space, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.
Absolutely. Thank you for that wonderful intro, Jay. Tina, let the people know where you're from and how you do your thing here on the Fly Nubian Queen Network.
Okay. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. Forgive me, everybody, for my technical issues. Grand rising, good afternoon, good evening, beautiful, melanated, original, whatever you respectfully call yourself. People, is your girl Tina Berry, straight no chaser with the Queen, here at Fly Nubian Queen in the round table. I'm glad to be here with Jade and Madam President.
Hey, thank you so much.
I'm probably breaking up.
You're breaking up a little bit, but we here, we with you. What did you want to say? Finish up there. It broke up just a little bit. Okay, Tina, we losing you a little bit, but it's okay. I think you'll come back to us. Okay, okay. Let's Tina get everything together. I think we're losing her a little bit. Thank you for your patience there. I just want to say welcome to Fly Nubian Queen again. Welcome to Fly Nubian Queen again. I think Tina is having a little bit of technical difficulty. It's going in and out a little bit. We see a beautiful face there. Jade, are you with me?
I'm here.
Absolutely. Okay. So everybody come in. Do me a favor. Thumbs up, like, comment, share. Everybody get in because we need to talk about last night election. We need to talk about last night presidential debate. I'm sorry. Everybody want Black folks to get to the polls. Everybody want Black folks to get to the polls. But don't nobody want to roll out a serious and adequate plan for African American people. So I have a big problem, with people who are trying to come over to my house, eat my food, but don't want to give me anything in return. And that's what I believe that's consistently happening in the Black community is that we have so many politicians for years. Our grandparents did it, where we have to literally just put aside our own ideas and goals and ambition for ourselves and our community and be ignored and just say, hey, this person is the most decent when it comes to decency. So based on what we saw last night, ladies, I know you witnessed the same thing that I witnessed, but I want to know from your own eyes and your own ears, what is so hard? Well, before we even get to what's so hard, tell me this. What was your thoughts on last night's election, Jade?
First of all, do you see the stupid look on my face? It was ridiculous. At first it was comical, but then it got to a point where I was just like, oh, this ain't funny. This ain't no joke. You know what I'm saying? So it's time for us to really get serious. I definitely identify with everything that you said. Like we are sick and tired of being sick and tired of people not only benefiting off of the Black struggle, society has benefited off of our ancestors' labor. And I know all of us have our ancestry is from, indigenous to the concept of the United States of America, what is called the United States of America right now. We are indigenous to this place as Black people. Mm-hmm. So, not only do folk come over and like benefit from things, and we have been made into a permanent underclass, which is what Dr. Claude Anderson teaches us, but then they will completely pander to the Black vote. And so I couldn't help but to laugh when you were doing, Madam President, the introduction, because it's like they want us to go vote and they want us to go to the poll, so much so that the Democrats have put out a disgusting advertisement talking about get your booty to the poll and just vote. We need the Black vote. And it's just pandering in the most disrespectful sense. And then you see these two clowns. I'm gonna call them both race soldiers and suspected white supremacists. 45 the Antichrist, aka Donald J. Trump, and then you got the other one who's on the other end. I like to call him Vice President Joe Crime Bill Biden, right? Mm-hmm. Two white men, going head to head in a cat fight. Ain't nobody talking about anything that is going to be directly beneficial to our ethnic group. Mm-hmm. And so that happened. And then on top of that, I can't even call it a dog whistle to Trump, white supremacist base, the Proud Boys. He definitely sounded the alarm. He told them to stand back and stand by. So there's just a lot of things that were going on last night. It was the most ratchet thing, the most ghetto thing I've ever witnessed by these two disgusting white men.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So Tina, are you with us? Okay, I think we're still having a little bit of problems with Tina. I don't know if she's still with us or not.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Okay, I can hear you, but you're completely frozen. Is that the same thing you see, Jay?
Yeah, Tina is frozen, and also I'm hearing clicking in the background. I don't know if there's like interference.
Okay. Okay, we're sorry, guys. Thank you for being patient with us. While you being patient with us, go ahead right now and text the word Queens to 31996. Again, text the word Queens to 31996. I think we've lost Tina, but not for good, because we love Tina. She's a Fly Nubian queen. And of course, her presence, her opinion is appreciated as well as respected here. So if she comes back, we'll bring her back on. But in the meantime, I'm here with Jade, known as the Lioness Crown, and we can continue this conversation as much as we need to. Basically, Jade, I know everything that you talked about and everything that you said, it rings true, and a lot of people understand exactly what you're saying, because we've experienced a lot of racism in this country. If you are Black, no matter how advanced you have become, you are familiar with racism. So I think the issue that I'm trying to figure out is, and I think for the very first time in our country, we have two white people that are being forced to acknowledge Black people. I don't know how often, I'm not a very old woman in a sense of, I haven't been voting as long as our grandparents. But the thing is, when you are trying to get and gain a vote, what I notice is people come into our communities and they make these promises to us that never gets fulfilled. And I think what's happening now with the level of consciousness, and we get a chance to see a level of consciousness through social media, through like minds being able to easily connect. Whereas in the 60s, if you were conscious, you had to go and find the group so far away. But now you can sit in your own living room and find your community in some kind of capacity. So the question that I'm trying to ask is, last night, I noticed that it was very difficult for Joe Biden as well as Donald Trump to verbalize any kind of plans they have for African-American people. It's very easy for them to sit behind some kind of public service announcement and some type of campaign. But what is so hard about really verbalizing some kind of specific plan for Black people?
Yeah, that's a great question. And shout out to everyone who's tuned into the Queen's Roundtable. I see our sister Tina Berry is coming back in, but I want to answer your question. This is the thing, sis. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. And people make time for it and they prioritize what's important to them. Therefore, neither Donald J. Trump, the Antichrist, or Vice President Joe Crime Bill Biden found any value or importance in prioritizing our specific issues. Because again, the agenda, in my humble and educated opinion, is that there is a concerted effort. Historically, there has been, and there is still, unless we stop it for the future, to make us as Black folk who are indigenous here a permanent underclass, and to ignore us and then to replace us with other groups and prioritize other issues over Black issues, because they know that they have a debt to pay. They don't only have a financial debt to pay, or debt to pay in terms of materials and resources, but they also have a spiritual debt to pay, and that karma is going to be dread. And so the longer that these white men or white people or society who are non-Black can go along with this con game, I guess you could say, and pretend like we don't exist, that enables them to engage in cognitive dissonance so that they don't have to feel responsible for the debt that they know that they owe us. The best thing that they can do is just use benign neglect, and that's what they've been using. And last night's debate was an example of that. How many times did we, Queen Tina and Chanel, how many times did we hear the word reparations come up last night?
Thank you. What is wrong with them? What is wrong with using the word reparations? Come on, Tina, are you with us? Tina, are you with us?
I'm trying. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh,
Tina, chime in if you can.
Difficult.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. But I wanted to go ahead, if I can't hear you, Tina, I'm going to go ahead and try to move forward with talking about this word reparations. The key word and the root to reparations is repair. And it just seems as if America does not have the mental capacity, the soul capacity, the economic mindset to repair such a big debt that they are owed. I mean, what I also read recently is that Black people have sued this country for many, many years. And they've paid out billions in racial discriminatory laws and lawsuits. And it's just like one of those things that you paid a lot of debt for racial everything, from when it comes to housing to mass incarceration. Like, what's wrong with coming up with a plan with reparations? What is wrong with coming up with the reparations plan? So Jade, I'm posing the question to you. Do you believe we'll see reparations in our lifetime?
I believe that we will see reparations in our lifetime if the family continues to get on code and politically do what we need to do, which means to make sure that we are prioritizing our interests and that we are continuing on the work for advocating for reparations that our ancestors have laid down. Now, this is not a new conversation. This is a conversation that's been happening since the 1800s. There's an ancestor, last name is House. Like her first name was Mary. I'll pull that up, but I did a whole broadcast on it. But in the 1800s, she was organizing, and there were other organizations that were striving for reparations. So in 2020 and beyond, yes, we can definitely see reparations in our lifetime if we do the difficult thing that a lot of people don't want to do, and the only strategy that we have not yet done, which is to hold our vote in exchange for that which we want, which in exchange for reparations. Now, monetary or economic reparations are only one form. Reparations means total repair, right? Mm-hmm. There's no price that we can put on the suffering for hundreds of years, right? 500 years in this country of our ancestors going through, and like the impact of the slavery and the racism, and how the anti-Black racism and how it has become more and more sophisticated over the centuries in this country to our people, and like the effects that we continue to feel for that. Now, we can definitely see reparations in our lifetime, but again, it's up to us to educate ourselves on that, to organize around it, and to continue to press for it. It's going to take hard work. It's going to take sacrifice. It's going to take us being on code like never before, but also it can happen. It can happen. Absolutely. A lot of our greats have laid the foundation out there for us already. You know, Dr. Conrad Worrell has done a lot of work in reparations. You know, he's a new ancestor. He was the chairman emeritus of the National Black United Front. You have organizations like NCOBRA, who's done extensive work and research in the area of reparations as well. A lot of different organizations who have been advocating for this recently, but then also, you know, even last century. What are we going to do? Are we going to carry on the torch or not? Right now, everything is depending on what we're going to do right now. And this election is so important, because what we're seeing is a changing of the guards, and we're seeing the dismantling of this two-party system that has thrived and survived off of benign neglect for Black people, and specifically, if you want to use a descriptor or another number, the foundational Black American or Black American indigenous population to this country.
Okay, I got you. You made a good point, and I want to ask you a question in reference to what you said about this dismantling of two systems. It does seem like white men are at war with one another. You know, when I seen all these white men getting arrested at some point last year, and it was just kind of like, first of all, it was just it was their world come crumbling down. They were having an internal kind of fight with one another. I knew nothing about it. You know, it was just kind of like, what is happening? Anytime they telling on each other, they arresting each other, something is being dismantled. Something is coming down. But I wanted to ask you, based on what you said, should Black people vote? Why or why not? Because that's what I need to know, because Black people, especially a lot of conscious Black people, don't feel connected to part of any political party. And it's like, okay, well, what should I do? But here's another thing I want to say. Although people may have a high level of consciousness, they do not have access to a high level of economic freedom. So that means that a lot of people have a level of consciousness, but they still go to work every day. So they're still participating in these parties, whether it's intentional or unintentional, whether they're conscious or unconscious. But the reality is, I'm wondering, should Black people vote? Why or why not, Jade?
So that's a great question. I vote. I participate in the political process because I have a very, very clear agenda for Black people in any and all things that I do, especially when it comes down to getting resources and policies that are going to benefit us on a local level. So I always vote. There hasn't been an election where I haven't voted. Even in some of the elections that happen, like the interim ones that happen outside of the big presidential races, like I'm always voting. But I'm always voting for candidates that I've researched or that I've done work with or that I've seen their track record, that I know that I can kind of use as an ally as I'm going out in the world and doing work as an organizer or an activist or an educator that's going to push a particular agenda and building relationships with said politicians. So, and like my endorsements are expensive, right? Like if I get behind a candidate and I am, like candidates tend to want a person like me on their side who could kind of sit down and do business with them or advocate or join on certain issues and get some lobbying and get some things done versus me being your worst nightmare. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of power in that. There's a lot of power in that for me. And for, those of us who do engage in like work in social justice or education or community, et cetera, et cetera. So I say, yes, vote. Vote if you feel compelled to vote. If you can justify or rationalize and that yourself, your values and what your mission is and what your vision is, and you're not compromising anything, that you're actually gaining something, vote. But don't vote if you feel like someone's twisting your arm or manipulating you or pimping you out in exchange for your vote for nothing, or voting compromises your integrity. Meaning that you've endorsed someone who's on pushing a whole nother agenda or a whole bunch of agendas that are going to disadvantage you, then you have the right to abstain from voting. Elected officials do it all the time, even in county commission, because I've been elected to a county committee, Democratic Party county committee within New York City. And I've seen it. Listen, if there's certain, like, let's say there's a judge or someone who's running for a public advocate for the state or attorney general for the state, there's certain districts and neighborhoods of a particular demographic that's not melanated, let me put it that way. And if they don't like the candidate, or if the candidate is not going to submit to or deliver anything that's going to benefit that particular group or these particular groups, they will sit down and abstain from voting when it's time to endorse a candidate. It's up for things. So listen, I don't believe in voter shaming. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe in shaming people to vote for a candidate, and I don't believe in shaming people for not voting. And I hate, and we have to stop disparaging and disrespecting our ancestors by claiming that they died for us to vote. No, my ancestors died because they were victims of anti-Black racism and white supremacy. My ancestors died because in order for me to be free. My ancestors died in order for me to be able to have self-determination and create the life and the world that I want for myself and for future generations to come. That's what they died for. They didn't die for me to vote for 45 the Antichrist or Joe Crime Bill Biden.
Absolutely. Understand. If you just now tuning in, welcome to Fly Nubian Queen. I want you to text the word Queens to 31996. Also, if you are about your bag, you about your money, I know you are, girl, go ahead and subscribe. Go to flynubianmoney.com. If you are about your business, I know you about your business because you're bad like that. Go to flynubianbusiness.com. And if you want to get real nice and wear some swag, make sure you check out shopfnq.com. This is Fly Nubian Queen, the place for melanated women and men just like you. We think of you. We're here for you. And every time we come together, it's in thoughts of you, melanated people. And I'm here with the Queen Jade, and I'm here with Queen Tina. Tina, welcome back. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes. Welcome, Tina. We finally have Tina here.
I don't know how long it's going to last. It looks like it's acting up now, but you know.
Hey, you know what? Will get you in while we can. I was talking to Jay. We got a chance to discuss quite a few things, from reparations, from the presidential debate, of course. And just because you are back, I want to read something because I'm about to play a quick video. And as I play this quick video, of course, I need to make a disclaimer so that, you know, there won't be any, we don't need to be getting sued or anything like that. But what I want to say, basically, right before I play this video on YouTube, I want to go ahead and say this is a copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips for the balance and favor of fair use. So I have to make that disclaimer, guys, before I play this video that I'm going to play from last night presidential debate, before I go into another question. And the video that I am going to play last night is basically Donald Trump and Biden discussed Black Lives Matter. And it was just a little bit problematic for them to basically truly articulate what Black Lives Matter meant, you know, and people a lot of times all over the world just really don't understand that the response and the purpose of Black Lives Matter. Most times it's because they're not Black, or, you know, they just don't have any sense of awareness to what people go through who are Black in this country. And so I want to go ahead and play this video. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys. And let's see, we can play this video.
Red cities like the homicides in America this summer particularly, and you often blame that on Democratic mayors and Democratic governors, but in fact there have been equivalent spikes in Republican-led cities like Tulsa and Fort Worth. So the question is this really a party issue?
I think it's a party issue. can bring in a couple of examples, but if you look at Chicago, what's going on in Chicago, where 53 people were shot and 8 died shot. If you look at New York, where it's going up like nobody's ever seen anything, the numbers are going up 100, 150, 200% crime. It is crazy what's going on. And he doesn't want to say law and order because he can't, because he'll lose his radical left supporters. And once he does that, it's over with. But if he ever got to run this country and they ran it the way he would want to run it, our suburbs would be gone. By the way, our suburbs would be gone, and you would see problems like you've never seen.
He would know a suburb unless he took a wrong turn.
Oh, I know suburbs.
He would not. I was raised,
Go ahead. Wait a minute.
I was raised in the suburbs. This is not 1950. All these dog whistles and racism don't work anymore. Suburbs are by and large integrated. There's many people today driving their kids to soccer practice and or to in Hispanic in the same car as there have been any time in the past. What really is a threat to the suburbs and their safety is his failure to deal with COVID. They're dying in the suburbs. His failure to deal with the environment. They're being flooded. They're being burned out because his refusal to do anything. That's why the suburbs are in trouble.
I do want to talk about this issue of law and order, though. And in the joint recommendation that came from the Biden-Bernie Sanders task force, you talked about, quote, reimagining policing. First of all, what does reimagining policing mean, and do you support?
It means.
Let me, if I might finish the question. What does reimagining policing mean, and do you support the Black Lives Matter call for community control of policing?
Look, what I support is the police having the opportunity to deal with the problems they face. And I'm totally opposed to defunding the police officers. As a matter of fact, local police, the only one defunding, and his budget calls for a $400 million cut in local law enforcement assistance.
I'm sorry, can we pause for a second?
They show up for a 9/11 call to have someone with them as a psychologist or psychiatrist to keep them from having to use force and be able to talk people down. We have to have community policing like we had before, where the officers get to know the people in the communities. That's
bullshit. I'm sorry. This is where I go off because clearly we've been out here.
That's talking about defunding the police.
That is not true.
He doesn't have any law support.
Look,
he has no law enforcement
That's not
support.
true.
Almost
that's
nothing.
Not. Look,
Jay,
who do you have? Name one
I
group.
can hear you, but the audio is still going. Let me tell you
Okay.
something.
Let me try to
We have time.
we don't.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. We are.
Look,
Go ahead, Jay. Take the floor. I was
it's
trying
time to go off. It's time to go off. It's time to go off because you're having this dude, Joe Crime Bill Biden. Let's just be all the way clear.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be clear. I got in the elevator today, and I said to the older lady, I said, "What did you think about that debate last night?" She said it was a hot mess, and she said, "You know what? Joe Biden has directly affected my Black family. You know how many Black people we talk about in terms of that we talk to, that we know within our community who have been directly affected by his racist policies against Black people? And we literally out here talking about abolishing the police, defunding the police, and all of this stuff in reaction to anti-Black racism, these policies that are killing us in this genocide that we're under. If y'all hear me, what I'm saying, share this, hit the like button and share this video." And then for him to sit there and say, and just gloss over very coolly, I'm not for defunding the police. He wants to talk about police reform. We ain't trying to reform. You cannot reform a system that is working perfectly to do what it was designed to do, which was to get Black people, to get our people who are being ignored in this country and that they're trying to make a permanent underclass. There is no reforming that system that was set up in the first place to terrorize us, to kill us, and to keep us at the bottom of the American racial hierarchy, right? But he glosses over that and fast talks real fast. And these are both, and that's why I say, listen, Trump is a suspected race soldier and white supremacist on the right, and Joe Crime Bill Biden, same thing on the left. It does not impress me. So literally, people are still dying. People are getting shot by rubber bullets. People are getting shot by law enforcement out in these streets, protesting and not protesting, or just going about everyday life. White folks and non-Black people have been deputized to inflict anti-Black violence and racism onto us. And we already know that the Proud Boys, Boogaloo Boys, all of these white supremacist terrorist organizations, the biggest threat to safety in America, domestic terrorism, is these fools have infiltrated law enforcement. We know that. And so how the hell could anybody tell me to vote for Joe Biden, who just sat here knowing everything that I just said, because he's participated in it and creating, setting the stage for it. And then he's calling out Donald Trump for being a racist. But then in the same breath, he's saying he doesn't support defunding the police. He can go all the way to hell in the handbasket. You know what I'm saying? As far as I'm concerned. And that's why I'm saying we have to be very, very discerning in terms of who and what we're voting for. I'm not voting for trading one white supremacist master for another. Not happening. Not happening. Abolish the damn police.
So I think a lot of people are trying to figure out, when you say, I think a lot of people don't understand what defund the police actually means. But I know that you're a true activist. You're not just the person who speaks of activism. You are a very true activist in real life. So I want to know, what does defund the police mean in reality?
Thank you. That's a good question. And it's subjective, again, because if you go to one state or one district or one elected official or one bill about police defunding looks one way and it has a whole set of guidelines there. And then over here, it looks like something else. Defunding the police literally looks like taking away police contracts. For examples, a lot of these police departments would do have security contracts, campus safety contracts for universities. Same thing with public school systems. An example, a direct example of defunding the police is those school districts and those colleges and universities saying, we actually don't want the Louisville Metropolitan Police working on our campus, so we're not going to renew their contract. That's an example of defunding. Punishing people, cutting their salaries, cutting down the number of police officers, cutting down the number of police officers who are present in Black neighborhoods, could be an example of defunding the police. Defunding the police, if we really want to get serious about it, could and should look like going after the insurance companies that insure police departments, going after them and holding them accountable. So while there could be, what Portland is doing is an example of police defunding. Same thing with Seattle, Washington. They cut down their police force. They're closing up, certain police stations. They police departments over there have lost a whole bunch of contracts. Baltimore went through community, like more of a community control of policing, a different model where they were trying to form better community, relationships, or getting police officers to live in a neighborhood. That's an example of like police reform. When we're talking about defunding, we're talking about taking their dollars away, taking their pensions away, defunding MFs. That's what we're talking about. But I'm just saying, hey, we need to abolish this entire policing, American policing system as we know it. And so in the debate last night, nobody said anything in terms of policing and law enforcement that's going to directly benefit Black people, and that's a problem.
I totally understand, and I agree with you. Nobody is willing to have that conversation. And I think because one of the biggest issues that I have myself personally is, when you are fond of America, you don't really know how to change her. So that's one of the reasons that I think a lot of political figures have a hard time really connecting on change, because they're too fond of the country. They like it too much. They enjoy it too much. America has been too good to them. That's why they can't really sit down and come up with the plan or communicate with people who can help them come up with a better plan that services more people than themselves or more people than their families. Now, I will say this: sometimes we have a lot of issues in the police community because there is no community policing. We got cops who live in the suburbs coming over in the urban communities trying to police them. Hey, where you going? Hey, let me see your ID. I live around here. I walk these streets every single day. But if you lived around here, you would know that. But now, because you just now drove up over here, you harassing me in my own neighborhood, and nobody should be a prisoner in their own neighborhood. So one of the things that Joe Biden said last night, and it kind of made me say, he said that when there are 911 calls, maybe there should be, some type of mental psychiatrist or somebody professional that can hop in and help and also service that call, because a lot of the downward situations in our community sometimes go from people with mental health issues, and police officers just don't know how to handle people with mental health issues. They don't know how to talk them off the ledge, how to calm them down, or anything of that nature.
Right.
So what do you think about that? Do you think that is that another form of defunding, or is that something that can go a part of a whole new plan? But
that's police reform. That's just putting a Band-Aid on the issues and attempting to reform and make the system work differently than it's set up to do. It's not a long-term strategy that's going to benefit us as a whole.
Okay.
You're right. Listen, unfortunately, where I am right now, I literally can go outside and walk down the street that way or walk down the street that way, and there's a 7 out of 10, I'm not exaggerating, 7 out of 10 chance that I might see a Black person who is literally possibly leaning or ODing, and I have to stop and say, damn it, let me go ahead and whip out my cell phone and call the Department of Health to have them come and check up on this person to see if this person is on medication, if they have mental illness, if they have or mental, disability challenge or diagnosis, rather. I'm not trying to stigmatize anyone with mental health issues, but they will be in the database for the Department of Mental Health for this city. I know that the chances of calling the Department of Mental Health and having them get support, even if it's freezing outside and we got homeless people sleeping on the street, I'm going to call the Department of Mental Health and have them come out and look and check on the person and service the person before I will call the police. Because why? The police will most likely come guns blazing. So I have to call the Department of Mental Health first. Then they'll put me in touch with medics in the police department, but they all come at the same time. But it holds the police the police accountable. Shouldn't have to do all of that. But again, when you're living under a system of apartheid, anti-Black racism, and white supremacy, we have to find ways in order to protect Black life under the current police law enforcement situation that we have. None of these things by which are long-term strategies, right? That's not what, it's not a long-term strategy. There shouldn't be a high likelihood of a Black man or boy with having a mental health episode, being shot and killed by the police upon arrival, when they actually are in distress and need support. How many times have we seen that happen in 2020? These martial lynchings by law enforcement. So at this point, there's not a damn thing anybody could say to me, these candidates especially, about police reform, defund the MFs, and abolish policing, period. So I don't know what Joe Biden and them was talking about last night. Like, that didn't make no sense. There was other things within the debate which was like equally or even more so problematic. And outside of like what's in the best interest of Black people.
That's a good point. Also, too, I just want to say, come on, y'all, give us some thumbs up, likes, comments, share. Let some folks know that you are in the FlyNubianQueen.com house right now. And I'm here with the Queen Jade, okay, Lioness Crown. So let me just say, if you are a woman about your business, then you need to go to FlyNubianMoney.com. I'm sorry, if you're a woman about your money, but if you're about your business, then go to FlyNubianBusiness.com. Text the word Queens to 31996. I'm here. We're talking about last night's presidential debate and how it affects us here, Black people in America. And I just got a couple more topics that I want to hit on, Jay, before I let you go. I know you've had a long day and it's been busy for you. So I definitely want you to get some kind of rest tonight. But I want to hear your thoughts on a couple things before we leave. We cannot get away with Donald Trump and his call to the group of white supremacists, okay? I'm going to play this. This won't be long as the other one that I was just trying to play. And I thank everybody for their patience and just bearing with me as we go through this whole little technical difficulty that I have had, but this is right here.
You have repeatedly criticized the
Donald
vice
Trump
president for not specifically
talking to
calling
the
out
Proud
Antifa
Boys.
and other left-wing
That's right.
extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups
Sure.
and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
Are you
I'm willing
prepared
to
to
do that,
specifically
but
do it? Well, go ahead, sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see
Well,
peace.
then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
You want to call them? What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name. Go
supremacists
ahead.
and
Who would
right
you like me to condemn?
White
Proud Boys.
supremacists and right
Proud
militia.
Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem.
His
This
own
is a left-wing.
FBI director
This
said
is a
the threat
left-wing
of
problem.
white
Go ahead, sir.
supremacists. Antifa's
Jay,
an
can you hear
idea,
me
not
now?
an organization.
Oh, you got it.
Not
Kidding.
militia. That's what
All right.
his
It's an idea.
FBI, his
Okay.
FBI director
Gentlemen,
said.
Well, then,
Jay, can you hear me? Have I lost you?
I'm here.
Okay, perfect. I'm here too. It was just a little bit of a delay right there. So stand down and stand by. I mean, there's never been a time in history that I've seen a president nationally just, well, I wasn't old enough to kind of experience some of the things that our grandparents went through, but stand down and stand by. What, telling white supremacist groups to stand by? Is this man calling for a race war or what?
Yeah, he's definitely called for a race war. He's been doing that for a long time. And by the looks of it, there's some trolls in the live chat right now. Maybe I'm suspecting that Angie Policelli, sounds like police to me. Angie Policelli could be a suspected white supremacist, who also can burn in hell as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, he's definitely sounding the alarm, and he literally told them to stand back and stand by, to stand back and to stand by. And listen, the Proud Boys use that slogan and that motto and incorporate it into their logo, and was, hailing up, bigging up Trump last night and all day. And now they're selling T-shirts and they're doing this and they're doing that. Now, yeah, and a lot of liberals or people who don't support Trump, who support Biden, the Democrats, like this the Biden-Harris ticket, that campaign raised more money than ever within 4 hours last night of this debate. They raised about $4 million, okay, in campaign donations because of fear. Like, people were like, oh my God, we got to get Biden and Harris elected. We got to get Trump out because, he just told these white supremacist groups to stand by. What does that mean? But listen, Trump has been saying this the whole time. He's been saying this since, when he was a candidate, trolling and the whole Tea Party and birtherism and all of these different things. And so it's only become more and more, but now it's on a public stage and we got 30 something days till the election. Then now people want to take it seriously. So I say all of that to say is that he's doing the same old dog whistling. These people are serious. They've been serious. These white supremacist terrorist groups and organizations and individuals, possibly like Angie Policelli, who continues to troll in the chat. They're activated right now. They're activated. But there's a lot of things that I could say on this broadcast. But honestly, the downfall of this evil system and wickedness and white supremacy and those who defend it will fall on their own sword. And that's all I have to say. That's all I have to do, because their karma, every single thing is already written. That's why these people are acting like wild damn beasts and animals, trying to maintain any semblance of power, and authority and belief, and, holding their white supremacist privilege so tight.
Yeah.
Know that they're on their last leg. So all I have to do is stand back and be the great queen, be the great queens that we are right here in Final Being Queen.
Absolutely.
Go up in flames and burn.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I totally understand and agree exactly where you're coming from when it comes to this system and, everything that's attached to it. And you will fall on your sword. of course, if you are unruly, and this country has been very unruly for a very long time, that there's too much disparity. It's too great. And the time has come for, real justice to come in and really take over what is due for Black people. Tina, I'm glad to have you back. We right here with the final question, the final hour. I just want to say that Donald Trump and both Joe Biden basically have came up with a plan for African-American people. And Joe Biden has basically acknowledged his plan for Black America. He says it advances the economic mobility of African-Americans and close the racial gap and income gaps. And then he also said expand access to high quality education and tackle racial inequity in our education system, make far reaching investments in ending health disparities by race, strengthen America's commitment to justice, make the right to vote and the right to equal protection real for African Americans, and address environmental justice. So to me, that sounds like Joe Biden's plan. The only thing that sounds like something that I'm interested in at this particular time is pretty much, the wealth gap. Look, I'm about when they gonna do something about this money, because that's the thing about being, Black in America. It's like, it's the money, it's the economic infrastructure that is the most difficult thing to, which also affects how you live, which affects where you live, which affects, how you have children, if you're able to have children, where your children go to school. So the economic gap is truly just a root to so many things, issues in our community. And Donald Trump, he made a plan as well. I couldn't find his as much as I did. I mean, as quickly as I was able to find Joe Biden's. But I will say that I was looking for it. Oh, it's right here. Donald Trump basically has said that he want to give 3 million new jobs for Black people. He want to create 500,000 new Black-owned businesses, increase access to capital in Black communities by $500 billion, safe urban neighborhoods with highest policing standards. That sounds tragic. Then he says commit to working on a Second Step Act, access to better education and job trainings. In my opinion, it all sounds like broken promises. We've heard it all before. Unfortunately, it just doesn't really seem believable on either parties. But I feel like it's been so hard for them to reach Black people that they felt like we got to address Black people individually at this time. Unfortunately, they're not talking about the right thing, and their plan doesn't seem good enough. So my last question to you is exactly, do you believe in any capacity, any of these promises that's coming from either of these people when it comes to Black people?
Listen, no. We know how to get education. We know how to build schools. We know how to build railroads. We know how to do we are like the most industrious people on the planet. Let's be clear. A lot of these plans for Black people are highly paternalistic. What do I mean by paternalistic? What is paternalism? That's white folks pretending to pose with a government, acting like they are our parents. We don't need all of that. Just give me my money, run me my land, and separate from me. Get out my face. We can build our own Tulsas, Black Wall Streets, banks, and all of this stuff if we weren't sabotaged and taken advantage of and boxed out of the markets. In business and enterprise, manufacturing, trade, all of those things.
Absolutely.
Other than that, there's nothing to have a conversation about, because what they'll say is we have a policy for education. And then they will use very, very loose or vague wording that will allow other people who also identify as minorities to benefit from this. Nah, I'm not here for all minorities, so-called. First of all, I'm not a minority. We ain't minorities. First of all, we're on the supreme, the first and the last, the alpha and the omega. Let's just be clear. 1, 2, we are not here to be the sacrificial lamb for all of humanity and for every single group, identity group, or interest group within the concept of the United States of America. Nah. I'm here for what Black folks are going to benefit exclusively and specifically, period. Now, Biden's plan, as well as Trump's plan, it leaves the door open, and in certain places they will include other groups and box them in with Black folk, which continues to drain resources and our birthright, let's just be clear, of what this country owes us, and exalt other groups based off of other identities, be it gender, sexuality, immigration status, you know what I'm saying, disability, folks who live in rural areas, which is mostly white people. You know, white men could benefit from that too. So they're not speaking my language.
Okay.
My language, but guess what? We have several weeks until the election. So maybe if somebody starts speaking our language, then I could justify, rationalize in my mind why I would vote for a Joe Biden per se.
Right.
Let's just say, like, Trump already got like these white supremacist groups, and the Antichrist is the Antichrist. I go in front of the White House every week, say the same thing, been doing it for over a year. You know what I'm saying? I've been out there the day after he won or stole the election. Big old sign. I'm gonna send it to you. It's a throwback. Maybe for Throwback Thursday, I'll post it tomorrow.
Okay.
I said, not my president. I can't. I mean, unless Trump delivers like, you know, $700,000 trillion to Black people who are foundational in this country and run me my land, I can't foresee, you know, supporting him or his administration. Now, there's a whole bunch of things that the Democrats support that I just damn don't support. You know, fiscally, I am a liberal, but when it comes onto a lot of like moral issues, I tend to lean very, very conservative in those areas, right? Like people want, you know, to fight for women to have the right to get an abortion up to 8 months pregnant or something like that. I would never advocate for that. I'm not signing off on that. You know what I'm saying? Be able to have integrity personally and go to sleep at night. But there are other liberals, there's other people that may not be a deal breaker, you know, issue, or they can kind of like justify certain things with these candidates. Either way, nobody is talking anything specific for Black people. What they're doing is using Black people to appeal to us emotionally so that they could get our votes, in my opinion, without anything to back it up with. And then they're going to privilege every other group. And we're just not here for that. I will hold my vote till damn kingdom come.
Absolutely. And then till kingdom come, that will be done. I totally get it. You know, we've been going at this for over 50 minutes, and I told you I was only going to hold you for 45 minutes. I just want to say that I appreciate you taking the time. You are a true queen, and I just thank you for being able to be available to have this conversation with me. Let everybody know where they can find you again on the social media platforms. Jade, if you can.
Yes, of course. Yeah, thank you. I was just getting a message from our Queen Tina Berry. She said she's apologizing. She is not sure what's happening on her end with technology, but she says she promises and she looks forward to coming back on with us again. And you can find our sister Tina also on FindNubianQueen.com on the Facebook page. She goes live multiple times. And so if she's in the chat, I'm sure she'll drop her social media for her social media platforms, Miss Tina Berry. But thank you for hosting this and for like making sure that we had this roundtable to talk about it, because it's so important for us to sit down as Black women and Black people and to really talk about and process how these national conversations where we are the topic of discussion, right, or just completely erased from the conversation anyway, but people expect something for us. Like, how does that affect us? What does this mean? What are the things that we should be thinking about? So thank you for organizing our roundtable today.
Absolutely.
You all can find me. My YouTube channel is Lioness Crowned. So that's Lioness Crowned on YouTube. This is like my second time giving that out. I don't even ask for people to follow me, but if you want to go over and follow me, feel free. I do have an Instagram. It's also Lioness Crowned. I usually don't give out my social media because my whole model is like, look, I don't need followers. I need soldiers. Ooh. I need fellow Black people who are willing to roll up their sleeves, put boots on the ground, and get the work done of organizing and advocacy, and also scholarship is paramount to what we are building if we are to move forward, right? So we need to study the mistakes of the past, the victories of the past from our people, and know exactly what we're dealing with, so we know how to navigate this beast. We don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel every 10, 15, or 20 years when we have elders and ancestors who have laid the foundation. So we must. So if you want to build, if y'all want to build with me and have constructive conversations and dialogue and organizing in that way, you are welcome to follow me on Instagram at Lioness Crowned, and also Jade Arundel on Facebook. But I'm about doing the work. And again, I don't need followers, I need soldiers.
I like that a whole bunch. She don't need followers, she needs soldiers. So if you're not a soldier, don't worry about it, because the road to true freedom for Black people, it's not pretty and it's not a selfie. It's all about work. It's a lot of inner work, and it's a lot of external work that has to be put forth. So I just want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Tina Berry, we love you. We appreciate you. We know that we were experiencing a lot of technical difficulties, and thank you for all the participants who was pretty much here with us during these challenging technical difficulties. And I just want to say, don't forget whatsoever to text the word Queens. Pull out your phones right now. Text the word Queens to 31996. And also, before you go to bed, go to flynubianmoney.com, because I know you are about your bag. And if you're about your business, go to flynubianbusiness.com. And if you want some t-shirts, some mugs, and some real Black wear, go to shopfnq.com. We are Fly Nubian Queen. We're here for you, melanated people. And we just want to say good night. And it's been lovely. Peace.
Peace and Black power.